So you're looking at about between $300 and $600 to recharge your vehicle for the whole year. In the future, those vehicles are going to be getting 1,000 miles per charge. So you're only going to have to recharge 15 times. And that charge is only going to cost about between $1 and $2. So you're talking about $30 to recharge your vehicles for the whole year. And that energy is going to be coming from.
Today's guest is Q Johnson, founder of a Techstars company called Plugzen. Plugzen is a hardware solution that offers a modular EV charging system that reduces installation and equipment costs for underserved EV charging markets. Prior to Plugzen, Q was a leader at both Detroit Electric and Ford Motor Company, among other automotive companies. Q recognized early on that EV charging accessibility is critical for the wide adoption of electric vehicles, and in our conversation, he shares his veteran insights and what his startup Plugzen is about. This is Earth ABC, featuring Q Johnson. Q Johnson, great to have another guest in the world of electric vehicles. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Sean.
So you're all about accessibility. Your company Plugzen focuses on improving access to EV charging for everyone and everywhere. Hence, your saying of putting the EV in everybody. Love that slogan. What inspired you to found this company, and how has your understanding of EV charging accessibility evolved over the 4 or 5 years you've led Plugzen?
Well, I started this company as I was working at Ford Motor Company. I worked in alternative fuel vehicles, and I saw that electric vehicles had the most promise for the future. As far as cost, environment, the economy, I saw it being the most promise. And at the time, Ford wasn't ready to go ahead with electric vehicles. This was back in 2006. So I left and I started working with EV startups, Detroit Electric, Mullen Electric, and a few other startups that I consulted with. And I saw the biggest issue for EV adoption was infrastructure. There was just no place to charge them. And as I delved deeper into it, I saw that there was some huge disparities in charging. For the most part, charging infrastructure went to where the money was, where the more affluent customers were. And they didn't need it as much as some of the other neighborhoods, especially when it came to the environment and the economical benefits of EV charging. So I developed a plan that will give everyone access to EV charging. Right now, more than 75% of the people who recharge their vehicles recharge at home. And 30 to 40% of Americans live in multifamily housing, so they don't have access to that charging. And over 30% of Americans are considered, neighborhoods are considered disadvantaged communities. So EV charging won't just naturally go to those communities. Even with the Justice 40 initiatives and some of the other things that are going, it's still a hard sell for those communities. So I developed a system that would include multifamily housing anywhere, and it would be very economical for these disadvantaged communities. There's another a sweet spot with our EV charging solution is light vehicle fleets or last mile fleets. Right now, they're becoming even larger. As a matter of fact, Amazon is going to have one of the world's largest last mile vehicle fleets. That's the UPS trucks, the mail trucks, and things like that. They contribute a lot of greenhouse gases, and if we're able to increase EV charging there, it will be a huge benefit to the reduction of greenhouse gases. So those are the markets I'm going after: multifamily housing, disadvantaged communities, and light vehicle fleets.
For sure. So a lot of these potential end users are in situations where EV charging just isn't as accessible as other people who can have these charging assets for themselves.
Yes, exactly. And the really interesting thing is, one of the big things that's really slowing EV adoption is the cost. As the cost comes down, it's going to become more efficient for everyone. a really fascinating note about EV charging and electric vehicles is it's not new. It's been here since the early 1900s. As a matter of fact, Anderson Car Company in 1904 began manufacturing electric vehicles. They became the first Detroit Electric. And up until 1937, they were making electric vehicles. And then it was a pause between 1937 and the 90s for uh, electric vehicle passenger vehicles. Electric vehicle industrial vehicles were still being made, such as Hilos, but the passenger vehicles had a somewhat 50-year break.
Mm-hmm.
And where we'd be if there wasn't for that 50-year break. So,
Gotcha. And so I really want to hone in on this because you've been in the automotive industry for a while now, like since before the year 2000.
yes.
You saw the promise of EVs really on, like you mentioned, in like 2006, and then you've been seeing things before then as well. What other like macro trends and minute observations have you recognized to inform what you see for the future of EV charging?
Well, right now, the biggest trend is in the battery technology. The battery technology is improving, giving the cars more range. Right now, there's a vehicle that can get up to 700 miles range, which is the Lucid. Now, in the future, here's the blue sky for electric vehicles. Right now, the average consumer drives just less than 15,000 miles a year. With a battery pack that can get about 300 miles per charge, that gives them 50 charges. And those charges right now are about $600. So you're looking at about between $300 and $600 to recharge your vehicle for the whole year. In the future, those vehicles are going to be getting 1,000 miles per charge. So you're only going to have to recharge 15 times. And that charge is only going to cost about between $1 and $2. So you're talking about $30 to recharge your vehicles for the whole year. And that energy is going to be coming from renewable energy. That's a potential that no internal combustion engine or hydrogen has. So electric vehicles has a larger potential than hydrogen and any internal combustion engine.
I see. So recurring costs for electric vehicles will go down like as time goes on.
Well, it's happening right now.
Mhm.
Ford is coming out with the Capri. GM is bringing back the Bolt with the lower price, and they have the Equinox now with the lower price. So those prices are coming down, and as battery technology comes down, those prices will come down even more. For example, right now, 100 kilowatt battery costs between $20 and $30,000, and that has the capacity for over 300 miles per charge. Now, as that capacity increases, that battery price is going to go down because you'll need less battery. And that's the trends that we're seeing now, especially with solid state batteries. Right now, lithium ion batteries are the ones that are most being used. But the father of the lithium ion battery, John Goodenough, he's the one that developed the lithium ion battery. Before he passed, he started developing a solid state battery that's now being manufactured in New York and Australia. And that solid state battery has twice and sometimes more than 3 times the capacity of a lithium ion battery. And the cost is a little bit lower. So as you need less battery, that cost of that battery is going to go down, bringing the cost of the vehicle down even further.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So the consumers are going to benefit a lot from using EVs like now and then in the future. And you talked about, on top of accessibility, the benefits to like the planet and then like the economy. What are some unexpected ways that many don't know about that makes EVs and EV charging better for the planet and for the economy?
Well, every gallon of internal combustion gasoline that's burned dumps about 17 to 20 pounds of carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. So in a year, close to 3 tons. And that's where those greenhouse gases. Electric vehicles, even the ones that are powered by coal or fuel burning power plants, are still burning more efficient because those power plants burn 19 to 20% more efficient than the gasoline that's being burned in the vehicles, pound for pound. So by purchasing EV today, even if it's purchased by fossil fuels, it's still more efficient than a gasoline engine. So that's one of the major benefits. The benefit for the consumer is right now it costs about approximately $600 to fill your vehicle for the whole year, and with internal combustion engines, it's between $2,000 and $5,000. So, what could you do with an extra $1,400 a year per household?
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you're using more than one vehicle, yeah, you're going to see a huge savings on fueling and maintaining your vehicle, because electric vehicles, they don't have the annual and regular maintenance costs that internal combustion engines have, like oil changes and transmission flushes and all those moving parts, because it has less moving parts.
Right. So the recurring costs of electric vehicles in the long run is significantly lower than that of vehicles with an internal combustion engine. And
Exactly.
so for like EV charging stations and assets, like one of the issues like you're tackling for like that domain is like their cost. Why does it cost so much right now? And then what does that look like what does the cost look like in like, let's say 5 years?
Well, the costs right now are equipment and installation. Right now, if you buy a self-enclosed station, it's going to cost you about roughly around $2,000. That's the average price. To install it in a typical installation environment, it's going to cost you $2,000. So that's $4,000 for each station installed, and that's multiplied by however many stations you charging ports you want. If you want 10, that's multiplied by 5. So 5 times 4,000, that's 20,000. And with the property owners, they are looking for a quicker return on investments. So that $20,000 is going to sit there for months before they start seeing a return on investment.
Right, right.
What we've done is we developed a modular system that consists of 5 stations, 1 main station that has to be professionally installed, and 4 optional substations that quickly plug and play into that one. So that first station is going to be on par with all the other stations that's installed. But when you expand the system, that's where you're going to see the cost savings. And the equipment costs are going to be lowered, and the installation cost is going to be very minimal. It's just a matter of plugging it in and powering it up.
Mm-hmm. So your company Plugzen helps bring more charging assets through the installation of just one central charging asset that's easily extendable to more substations, if you will.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I want to talk about more about like what Plugzen is and like where you guys are at right now in terms of technology readiness, partnerships, etc. So could you share more about what that looks like?
Well, we're a hardware developer. We are working with third-party software, but we're a hardware developer, and we're currently still in R&D. We finished a working prototype, and we're conducting live demos. As a matter of fact, we've conducted several over the past several months with potential customers. We're currently working through Techstars Alabama Accelerator with Alabama Power, and they're helping us develop our pilot for a multifamily housing development. So from the working prototype, we're now in the process of getting our beta prototype together. The working prototype was the proof of concept for the function. The beta prototype will be the form and the function, the working concept. And from that 3-month pilot, we'll obtain UL certification and begin manufacturing.
I see. And who are your target users other than these like multifamily homes? And how does each user group benefit from your solution?
Well, the other user group that we're ideal customer profile that we're targeting are light vehicle fleet operators, because they're looking at ways to electrify their fleets efficiently. And all the automakers have gone all in with General Motors, bright drop and Ford Motor Company going after these fleet operators, but it's just not efficient for them to transition to electric vehicles. Charging solution like ours makes it more efficient and easier for them to transition.
Mhm.
And then after that market, we're going after hospitality groups like hotel chains that have electric customers that are driving electric vehicles, make it efficient for them to add this amenity to their properties. And then we're looking at state parks. A lot of state parks are trying to attract environmentally conscious visitors, and it's a perfect fit. They could charge 10 vehicles, and it's anywhere where a vehicle's going to sit for 2 hours or more. So if you're going to a park, you're most likely going to spend some time there. So you park your vehicle and you go relax. As a matter of fact, that's how we derived our name, Plugzen. You plug your vehicle in and you get zen and you relax as your vehicle's being charged.
I like the added lore drop right there. I like how the EV driver, if they choose to charge it in a parking lot at a park, they pretty much park their car and they could go on a walk, and it really connects them back to like nature on top of just being eco-conscious. Yeah. And so you talked about these multifamily homes, these potential hospitality entities, as well as like these fleets. How does your technology differentiate from other solutions currently available in the EV charging market that these users could potentially use instead of yours?
Well, first, we're modular. That's the one main unit that plugs in the other subunits. That cuts equipment and operation costs. Second, we're software agnostic. We are working with third-party software providers to develop a software that allows our customers to choose what cost point they want, or if they don't want to pay at all, that software is in there too. So us being software agnostic, we don't have the proprietary networks that has a mandatory cost. Mm-hmm. Another thing is our stations feature removable quick change charging devices that can be easily removed if they malfunction and replaced. Right now, if one of the standalone stations go down, that station can be out of service for days, sometimes even weeks, waiting for a repair. With ours, the delivery driver pulls out the old module, sticks in the new module, and it's back up and running. So the national average for downtime is about 83%.
Yeah,
83% right. And we're looking at 95% or higher.
That's huge. I mean, like you touched on this before, where the high cost is like kind of like the barrier to just installation at first, and so people can't really reap the benefits of long-term like cost savings because again, there's a really high barrier to entry. I want to go back to the R&D that you mentioned. What has been your biggest challenge in that phase right now, and how are you addressing these challenges?
Access to capital. We've been working with engineers. We've been part-time engineers to get it developed, but to get it to the next level, we haven't had the financing to get there. We've addressed that through Techstars. There's been a lot of resources, and we're talking to a lot of investors daily. So we've closed our pre-seed round, and we're now raising in our seed round. And our seed round is going to help us get through the pilots, R&D, and UL certification, and we'll be able to start manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. So when you do start manufacturing, what's the soonest that like a multifamily home owner can reach out to you and then get your solution to them?
If we raise the capital we need within the next few months, our goal is to start delivering units in second quarter of 2025.
Oh, that's real soon.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's if we get the financing.
Right. Fingers crossed for that. And how are you navigating the regulatory landscape for EV infrastructure? And are there any like policies you're hoping to see implemented soon?
Well, there was a policy that I was really hopeful about. It was mandating that every new building, new construction paid for with federal funds would require EV readiness, and
Mm,
that would have been easier for everyone. Um, I'm not sure where that's at now. With the changes of administration and the changing in priorities, I'm not sure where that's at right now. But I was really excited about that and all the mention of that. There were some other mandatory regulations that some felt was more of a mandate or EV mandate. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few months with the new administration um, what makes the chopping block.
yeah, for sure. And I know that the Biden administration recently passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, and then part of it announced like a $600 million in grants for EV charging stations. Have you secured any portion of that funding for your company Plugzen, or like how are you positioning yourself to get your solution out there in regards to this?
Well, I have not been able to because I'm not UL certified. Once I'm UL certified, I can, if there's anything left in those pot of funds, I'll be able to go after it. Right now, we are the most efficient option for EV charging, even in our pilot stage. So once we get UL certification, um, that phrase, create a better mousetrap and the world be a path to your doorstep, we've created a better mousetrap. And we are on our largest customers' radar. Matter of fact, we have letters of intent. We just have to get past UL certification.
Got you. And what does the process for a US certification look like?
Well, UL certification, UL Underwriters Labs. After we complete the beta prototype and we complete our internal bench testing, we send it to them to test it and see that it meets all the standards. UL, NEMA, and there are even some government standards in there as well. So they make sure that it meets all those standards. And it takes usually 3 to 6 months. And after that 6 months, they give us a stamp of approval and it's ready for manufacturing. No one really manufactures anything unless it's UL certified.
I see. I see. So let's say within by the end of next year, ideally you are able to get US certified. You finish manufacturing of like your initial batch of charging stations. If I'm a business owner or if I'm an owner of a multifamily unit and I want to install like one of your charging stations, how can I reach out to you, and how much would it cost me for the core node and then maybe 3 extendable nodes?
Well, we're actually selling them as a complete system, as the Z Hub system. And the
Mhm.
Z Hub system, the equipment cost is less than buying a few standalone stations. So we're selling it at part of the Z Hub system. But if someone just wants the initial node, they can purchase it and scale at their own rate, um, which is totally doable. Um, at this point, the best way to get in touch with us is through our website, and we are accepting letters of intent. We've already collected a few, and that helps us build our business case with investors. So if someone is really interested, please reach out to us, and we can discuss it.
For sure, for sure. I really love what you're doing. I think tearing down like the high cost of entry to set up these EV charging stations is going to be huge. Allow a lot of these potential end users to benefit these long-term cost savings for EVs. So, if your company Plugzin achieves its mission in the way that you've envisioned, how do you hope that the world looks different 10 years from now because of the work you've done?
Well, right now, it's anticipated by 2030 that 1 in 4 electric vehicles will be 1 in 4 vehicles sold will be electric vehicles. Our goal is to be a primary supplier of EV charging solutions for all those communities, those business communities that are transitioning from fossil fuels.
Gotcha. That was my last question. Any last minute words of wisdom that you'd like to share with me and all those that are listening?
Yeah, I This is an exciting journey, and we're on the ground floor of it. There was a 50-year break between the 30s and the 90s, and we're playing catch up. But at this point, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and we're finally starting to open our eyes to see the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to leave that thought with you, the possibilities and the potential that's there for electric vehicles, EV charging, for businesses, communities, and the planet as a whole.
Sure thing. Thank you again, Q, for joining me today, sharing what Plugzen is all about, and overall sharing your wisdom on the EV landscape at large, because I know you're a wealth of wisdom in this domain.
Well, at Plugzen, we're putting the EV in everybody. I invite everybody to come see how.
Mm-hmm. No better way to end this conversation with that slogan. All right. Thanks, Q.
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this interview, follow along on Earth ABC's LinkedIn to stay connected and never miss what's going on in climate tech. If you'd like to reach out or you're interested in coming on as a guest, feel free to connect with me, Sean Pack, on LinkedIn. We're always looking for inspiring ventures and founders in the climate space to feature on the show. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.